Heyo, welcome back to another stream. Apologies for the slightly delayed start. I got stuck in traffic and had to take the scenic route through the countryside, which was actually quite nice. Very lovely indeed. How are you all doing? Hopefully you're having a good day. God, I sounded like a robot then. Hello, how are you doing? I hope you are having a fun day. Whew, okay. Right. As I just mentioned to Mark, I've had way too much caffeine this morning, so it's time for a bit of water. I need to rehydrate myself. And we're going to be doing some designing today, as always on a Thursday, because, well, why not? Designing is fun. And as always, if you do have any questions, would like to see a tool or a technique demonstrated, throw it in the chat and I'll try and be as helpful as I can. Hello, hello, hello. It's so great to see all the regulars here. Graphic Up, Sema, Professionalistic, Mark, Algeria DZ. Amazing, amazing to see you. We only design on days that end in Y. Oh, wait. Yeah. That's all of them. Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm always designing something, whether it's for a video or just for myself. So, yeah, I've been really enjoying the appearance panel at the moment. I've got mine docked over here, but if you don't see it, just window appearance. For many, many years, I did not use this panel at all, and it was a massive mistake. So if you've never used the appearance panel, I highly recommend it. It's ridiculously powerful, and I'm going to show you how now, just because I'm really enjoying this at the moment. It's probably one of my favorite things to do is just literally play around with Illustrator, because there's always something new that I can learn. Right, where can I put the drink where I'm not going to knock it over? Because if I do, that is going straight in the keyboard. And yes, I have knocked a can of Coke into a laptop keyboard before. MacBook 2010, and it died. It did not work after that, and there was no salvaging that one. So yeah, haven't learned my lesson though. Still like to live dangerously. But right, let's pick a font. Let's go with the Bebas. Your Creative Cloud subscription. Go away. I don't need to see that. Right. Okay, let's have a word. Someone throw out a word, a name. It can be your name, anything you like, a pet's name, your child's name, whatever. Just throw me a word and we'll stick it in there and we'll do something cool with it. Also a colour. Yeah, a word and a colour. Whichever colour you like, and I'll try and make it work. You're going to give me a really terrible colour now, aren't you? You're like, okay, Ginger, come on then, let's see what you can do. Ragamuffin, excellent. Ragamuffin. Oh, wow. Have a cookie, sir. That was very good. I like it. Ragamuffin. I think we'll have that on one line to start with. So the first thing with the appearance panel, if you're going to start adding colors and layering this up and doing cool text effects, you first of all want to actually get rid of your color. If you don't and you start adding fill colors, I'll just throw in a yellow here, you can see you get this weird, horrible kind of, like, hopefully you can see that. I don't know. It's like a pixel line around the edge. That ain't no good. So you can see we've got nothing in there at the minute. Let's set that fill color to none. Of course, the text will disappear. But from the bottom, we can add new fills and strokes here. So we're just going to add a new fill. And this is how you apply gradients as well, by the way. You can't actually just apply a gradient to text in Illustrator. Don't ask me why. I've got no idea why. It would make a lot of sense to be able to do that. But, you know, hey ho, more hoops for us to jump through. So what you need to do is add a fill, and then you can apply a gradient to your text from the appearance panel. So that's already like a really cool thing to do. So we've applied the fill, and with this selected, we could pick a color here, or we can hold down Shift and click, and we actually get access to the color picker. So I can then go and actually find a really nice, oh wait, no, someone was going to give me a color. Apple Care is a good investment for Apple laptops. Yeah, I've never had an Apple laptop without Apple Care, because as much as the MacBook Pros I've had over the years have been great, like if something does go wrong, usually the keyboard goes a bit funny, or you accidentally damage it or something, you're all good. Although I think that laptop I spilt Coke in didn't actually have Apple Care with it. It's the only one that hasn't. So, you know. What is that? Is that a color? Chartreuse? Chartreuse? I've never heard of that color. I can't even pronounce it, but it looks nice. Ooh. Oh, okay. Chartreuse? 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 I've got no idea how you say that. I'm just going to look like an absolute idiot if I keep trying. Right, let's try and add this color that I'm not going to say anymore. I feel like it's something like this. That is, you know, that is a really nice color. I do appreciate the color of our ragamuffin text. And right, so appearance panel. Let's add an effect. So we can do this here from the bottom. Oh, hang on. Oh, there's this weird glitch. I'm using two screens, and so my effects list appears on the second display, so you won't be able to see it, which is no good. So you can access it up here. So we'll just do it that way for now, I think. Warp, and then we've got all of these effects. Now, it doesn't matter which one we pick, because, whoa, hey, epic, because we can change it. So let's play around with, we've got arc lower, then we can kind of bend this up. Now, I'm usually going to adjust the bend here horizontally. You can do it vertically if you want to kind of lean it a certain way. I don't use that much, and even less I use the distortion. You know, this can be quite useful if you want to have something like this. So you just have zero bend, and you can kind of have text tapering off, and we can also do that vertically as well, which is epic but totally illegible. That's pretty dramatic there as well. That could be quite useful for a drop shadow. But yeah, we're gonna just horizontally bend this up ever so slightly, and we'll go with 15 degrees on the old minus. That's pretty cool. And I can still switch back to properties and reduce the tracking if I wanted to bring those letters a bit closer. So this is all still fully editable text. That's probably the biggest advantage I should mention about doing this with the appearance panel, is if you can keep your text editable, amazing. It's just going to give you more flexibility, more options, and when you produce a nice big design and you've spent ages making all this stuff and it looks great and a client says, hey, can you just change the wording there? If you've baked in all your kind of effects and everything, then you know, you're going to have to redo it all again. But if everything is editable and this is like a live effect, then you can simply change the words like so. Da 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 da. And everything updates. But we're going to get much more complicated with this. So, all right, that's going to get annoying if I keep. That's basically smart guides. So if I turn them off, it'll stop that big blue block appearing. So I've got my fill here, and we've got the warp applied to that. What I can also do is, do we add a new fill or do we duplicate that one? Let's duplicate it. And then the one on the bottom, let's change that to a completely random color just for now. And this stack of all your different effects, this works just like your layers would. So the layers that are on top will be visible and anything underneath will be hidden. So I've changed this to red, but of course you can't see it because the color that I won't pronounce is on top. We'll go with green, lime green, that's simpler. You can kind of see that red sort of maybe creeping around the edges there. But we're actually going to do something really cool that I've never really done this before. I did this earlier for the first time. Convert to shape. I've never used this. And I was having a play. And right, let's make sure we've got the red selected first. And I've never really had a use for this, but this is pretty crazy. So you can choose rectangle, rounded rectangle, which just kind of rounds off the corners, or ellipse. So let's go with rectangle for now, and I'll show you the advantage of applying this in the appearance panel in a minute. It's pretty wicked actually. And we can adjust the spacing. You can go with relative or absolute. I think we'll stick with relative, that looks fine. Click OK. And one of the advantages to this is if I go and change the text, you'll see that that box expands. If I go on 2 lines, the box expands down. And yeah, I never knew that until a few hours ago. Just something I'd never bothered to do, really. And yeah, I was pretty mind blown by that. Right, I think I'm going to take this lovely green color, lime green, that's what I'm calling it. And I'm actually going to apply this to the box, and then I'm going to set the text color to white. I think this will look really nice. I love that already. Thank you very much for that color suggestion. Oh, chartreuse. Is that how you pronounce it? Chartreuse. Wow, I really made a right mess of that, didn't I? I was going for the most obnoxious name for a color I could think of. Well, thank you, Mark. You succeeded. Oh, that was funny. Chartreuse. I'm going to remember that. I will forget that in 5 minutes. Right, so now I've applied this as a fill. I've converted this to a rectangle. Yeah, so there's another thing. The order of these effects does matter. So at the moment, I've got the rectangle underneath. But if I swap the order around, you can see that I've still got the rectangle, but also the arc effect is being applied to that shape. So now it's applied, I could go in and maybe tighten this up if I wanted to. So we could go for something like this. Kind of reminds me of a logo, actually. I can't think what it is. I think the red kind of reminded me of Levi's a little bit, but right. Another mistake. I do this all the time. If you have your object selected, right, and then you deselect it, you can still see all of these options in the right-hand side. And you'll start making changes and you'll be like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm changing all this stuff. You are changing nothing because the object is not selected. I kind of wish Illustrator, when you deselect something, it would literally hide all these effects, because look, you've got no selection, but it's showing all the effects. I don't know why it does that. That needs to be changed. So when you select something, then you get the options for it. I don't know. That just makes logical sense to me. Right, so now I've got it selected. We can go and adjust that spacing vertically. Yeah, maybe that looks good. We'll try and keep it equal on both sides, top and bottom, left and right. As I always say, you know, try and keep that spacing pretty tight if you can. And what I might do, actually, I wonder if I can do this. Yeah, I've just noticed that kind of line along the bottom wasn't quite even though the value is the same. So I'm just going to go and drop this to, yeah, maybe 13. And you can see that width now along the bottom runs nice and consistent. Like a Netflix, says Graphic Up. Yeah, it is. It's I think it's the same font, Bebas, or something very similar to that. Is basically the Netflix font. So yeah, there we go. It's a good font. I like it. Hello, Salim. Welcome. Yeah, so we've got some text there, and we've got a box. And we could go and change this. So we could go for a rounded rectangle if we wanted something a bit softer on the corners. And we could round this off. We could go for an ellipse. Although, I think because I've changed a bunch of settings, that does look a bit weird. Now we can hide certain effects, which is pretty handy as well. In fact, we'll just show you one thing. So if we get rid of the arc effect, you'll notice here that the text is kind of ever so slightly closer to the top than it is the bottom. And if I change this to something else, the way that I can reposition the text within this box and keep everything editable is to select the fill. So this fill here is actually the white lettering. And then what I can do is go to distort and transform, and I'll apply a transform effect to just the white text, and I can actually move this around here. So if I nudge this down by a few pixels, you can see the difference there. Preview? No, preview doesn't want to work. Great. This is going great. Thank you, Illustrator. Right, so there's the before. There's the after. Oh dear. Come on, Adobe. This really needs to be fixed. This should work. So we've got the text in the box there, and that is how you can manually move it. So sometimes a font will be really high up or really low, depending on the bounding box of the text. That's one way to move it. And of course, all of this still stays editable, and we can two-line it as well. And then if I want to go, let's say, close the gap between the lines, which is called the leading. So we reduce that. Everything is kind of maintained. And this can be quite useful for, if you have a tooltip or something. Let's just go and throw in a triangle. And we'll grab that same color. Right. Oh, nearly knocked the drink over then. Steady, Dan. It's going to happen, isn't it? So we've got essentially a tooltip here, and then I can duplicate this over and put a pen tool, brush tool. So if you are doing lots of these and you kind of want to use that same format, this is a really, really good way to keep everything fully editable. And it just, once you've set it up, it saves you a ton of time. And plus, if the client said, can we change the text to ragamuffins, you just type an S on the end and it updates. So it just gives you more flexibility. Can you check something for me? Says Raj. Possibly. What would you like me to check? Lola said, hello, just wanted to say your good mood is contagious and awesome to learn. Oh, amazing. That's amazing. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. I love doing these live streams, so it's very, very easy to be in a good mood when I get to hang out with you guys, design, and whether it's reviewing other people's work or me making stuff and then people reviewing me and throwing criticism my way. I love design. I live and breathe this stuff, and it's recording videos is great, but you're always talking to a camera lens. It's just me talking to a camera, and just being able to kind of actually hang out with people and talk about design and throw ideas around. It's inspiring. I like it. I love it. The thesis, Tomei, made it. Good day all. Hello. Hello, hello. Graphic Up says, bending option. Was there a question I missed? Has someone got a question about how to bend things? Or how do you zoom in by drawing a box like you usually do? Okay, right. So this is a personal preference, but it's how I've got it set up. My zoom tool. This is kind of how it used to work back in the day. You could draw an area with the zoom tool, and then you can zoom in. Or you can just left click or hold Alt or Option and click to zoom back out. And yeah, you can do the same. So holding Alt or Option on the keyboard swaps that plus and minus. So you're zooming in or you're zooming out. I do it very quickly just because I'm used to keyboard shortcuts. The default, if you go to performance, is animated zoom. And it's kind of like, I think in Photoshop it's called scrubby zoom. And it's where you click and then drag. And this, I think, actually is a bit quicker because I can really just quickly kind of zoom in and go whoop and then zoom out. The only reason I don't have it on is sometimes I can click or it can get stuck, and it just does that, and it flings me all over the place, and it really drives me nuts, especially when I'm recording like a tutorial or something. Everything's going smoothly, and then I try and zoom, and it just throws me across the screen. So at least now I can I can zoom in a nice and controlled way. So that's the only reason that I've got it turned off. You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, a few other navigation tips as well. You've got the hand tool here. The shortcut's H on the keyboard. Don't bother using it. Just press the space bar and you can move around. Hold space bar and click to drag. And these shortcuts alone will save you so much time because you can just zoom in. You can zoom back out. You can pan around and just get comfortable doing that. You've also got Command or Control plus or minus to zoom in as well, or out. And if you press, Command or Control 0, that will show you the entire artboard, or Command or Control 1. And that, what does that do? I think it brings it to like 100% or something. Oh no, it used to be listed here, but I think they've removed it. Yeah, Command or Control 1, I think will show you the actual size of your design, like the real world size. Ah, there it is. Down there. Why is it down there? Why is that not up there like it used to be? Come on, what is going on? This option's just been thrown down here on its own. Goodness me. Okay, so yeah, actual size, Command or Control 1. Look, spacebar is my thing. Yeah, for sure. Like I could not imagine using Illustrator or most of the other Adobe apps without it. The hand tool just literally serves no purpose. Like, it's H, but you know, what's the point in pressing H when you can just press the spacebar and move around it? Do you know what I mean? In fact, I don't know why the H tool, the hand tool, isn't just spacebar. Again. Don't ask me. You can also hold spacebar and control and drag to zoom in. Oh, can you? Oh, hang on. I think I might have done that wrong. Oh, that's a bit weird on the old keyboard. Shortcuts for my fingers. So spacebar. Oh yeah, that's a bit of a weird one. Spacebar's fine, holding down Command or Control is fine, but if I want to zoom out, I've then got 3 fingers on the keyboard. It's probably quicker though than taking my hand off the mouse, so again, I think everyone just has to kind of figure out what works for them. Option plus Magic Trackpad here. Oh, Magic Trackpad, okay. I don't really use that much. I'm a mouse or tablet person, but I use the trackpad on the laptop, so I guess that's kind of similar. Although yesterday when overtired, I tried using my drink coaster as my trackpad. Mike, it happens to the best of us, mate. It happens to us all. I put the remote control for the TV in the fridge the other day and then was asking the family, where's the remote control? And it's just like... Dan, you're an idiot. Don't ask me why it ended up in the fridge. I've got no idea. That's funny. I like that. Right. Hey, someone is removing what I wrote. No idea. Ain't me. Hey, I just arrived. What did I miss? Ragamuffin? Chartreuse, or whatever that color is. Lime green. So let's get a bit more creative with this. I think this is a good start. I really do like this. But let's create a copy and try and do something a bit more special with it. So let's add something to the text. And what I'm going to do is duplicate this, the one underneath. Rather than pick my colors now, I like to just pick very bold contrasting colors so I can kind of see where everything is, and then I can always change the colors afterwards. So again, we'll go with bright red. We've got that same lower arc lower warp effect on there, so we'll leave that on there. Otherwise it will do that, which we definitely don't want. But I'm also going to add another effect, and that is a path offset. This is one that I use a lot. We can adjust the value for this one, and this basically will add an outline around the text. So let's go for something like that. I think that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, and then what I'll do is I'll duplicate that one. We'll pick another wildly random color that we can change. And because I duplicated it, it's got the arc, the warp effect, and it's got the offset already. And we're just going to tag one more on there. And that is transform. And what we're going to do is move the horizontal and the vertical. And we can use this to add a shadow, but if we just do 1 pixel either way, you can see it nudges it ever so slightly down and to the right. And if we bump up the number of copies, we can use this to create kind of a drop shadow effect. Something else we can also do is we could actually set that back to 0. And we'll bring the scale down here to 99% instead. And this will scale that purple kind of inwards towards the center. Let's set the copies back to 0. And you'll see as I increase them, it's just gradually scaling every single copy down by 99% of the previous one. So it's going 99%, 90%, 99%, 99%, and just scaling it down and down and down. And if I add a bunch, essentially this is another way to create 3D looking text. And arguably, actually, I would say this is much, much better than using the 3D effects, because the new 3D features do come with limitations. Whereas all of this is all fully editable. As I mentioned, I can change the text. I've got more flexibility. This is just, in my opinion, a cleaner, better way of doing it. Yes, you're not going to get ray tracing. You're not going to get the same type of realism that you can applying metals and whatever. But for real world practical use, I would use this technique hands down all the time. Right, there's one more thing I missed off there actually, and that is that this purple is still using the same offset as the red. So I'm actually going to go and double this to 8, and you can see what that does is it kind of acts as another stroke, another border around the edge. We could actually make that a bit thicker. Nope. Again, you see I did the thing again? I didn't select the text. They really need to update that, I think. When you've not got anything selected, it shouldn't show a bunch of effects. Yeah, maybe we could make that one a bit chunkier. And as you can see, you know, we've got all the flexibility in the world to play around with this. And I'm pretty happy with that. So let's get some color in there now. So shift click on the swatch and this brings up the RGB. Mark, I've forgotten how to pronounce it already. Is it chartreuse? 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 I told you I would remember it, didn't I? Okay, right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of start with something similar to the lime green color. And then I'm sort of going to work backwards and darken it up a little bit and maybe just introduce a tiny bit more green. So I kind of want it similar, something like this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We've got the hex value reference here, so I will copy that. And then let's go and select the red. We'll do the same, paste in that hex value, and then maybe just tweak this color ever so slightly. Whoa, what has happened there? No idea what just happened. We could actually go for a yellowy. Yeah. Ooh, that looks quite nice, like a super lime. Oh, this is nice. I mean, I don't know. The accessibility police might come and clamp down on us, but these colors, they're pretty close. But I don't really care. I like it. It looks great. Interesting. And we could actually add a gradient to the text as well. So if I select that white fill, oops. Oh no, actually I should probably put the gradient on this one. Ooh, okay, let's try something. I was gonna play around with this earlier, but I actually ran out of time. So let's do this in real time and see if it works. So I've got my gradient panel docked up here just because I love to have that there. And in fact, if you're interested, this is the workspace setup that I use. I've got all these different panels here. These are the ones that I use for pretty much everything. There's a few other panels up here I occasionally need to dip into, but I don't use them for long and then I kind of put them away. This one is kind of my staple. The only other panel that I haven't got here, which I think I should actually, I'm not sure why I got rid of it, is the layers panel. In fact, maybe I should go and get that. There we go. We'll sandwich that in there. There we go. Sometimes I'll kind of throw it over here on the left, but then that does sort of take up screen space. So it's just good to have it in there. I don't use it all that often. You know, you can work on layers on more practical projects. I don't bother. I just do whatever, usually. But right, anyway, gradient. So let's try and paste this color in. And let's paste it in again there. Now, if I wanted to darken this, I could play around with the 3 sliders, but I've got to then use 3 sliders to make it darker. The problem you're going to run into as well is you might actually change the hue a bit. At the moment, this green is it's sort of a nice balance between green and yellowy. If I start manually playing with these 3 sliders, it might end up being a bit more yellow or whatever. So I like to switch over to hue, saturation, and brightness. This way I've got the hue here, this random value, 68.44. I can leave this value alone, and I can only adjust the brightness. And that is going to darken that color and make sure it's the same color. Now, depending on your color, you may need to bump up the saturation, but in this example, it's all the way at the top. And this is a great way that I can easily darken a color without messing around with the hue. And then I can just switch back to RGB after. That looks good. Let's go for a radial gradient. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So it looks like the kind of the darker part is in the center and that is coming outwards. Yeah, I think I like that. I think maybe tinker around with the position a bit, but ooh, lemon water. Any tip for a consistent shortcut for bring to top and center back? The original shortcut is impossible to use. What are you using? Oh, I use the original. Sorry, I know that's not very helpful. I use, yeah, these ones. You can rebind that if you go to edit keyboard shortcuts. Let's do a search for, oh, can we rebind it? Oh, maybe we can't. Wait, no, tools, menu, commands. We must be able to. Yeah, there you go. So you can rebind this to something else, and you can choose exactly what you like. For me, it's not too bad because of the way I use the keyboard. I've always got my thumb on my left hand resting on the command or control key. And then I've got my little finger or my ring finger hovering over shift. That's how I have my hands on the keyboard. And then the thumb can jump to the space bar if I need to pan around, but it sits over command or control. So for me to press command or control shift and then the square brackets or whatever, it's really easy. It's no hassle whatsoever. When I'm on PC, it's a slightly different position because there, of course, is no command or control. There is a control key, but there isn't a command key in the same place. So it gets very confusing for me switching between Mac and PC. So, but yeah, that's what I would say. I would rebind it to something that is easier for you to use. The archaic way. He's pausing submissions to catch up on ones people have already submitted. Exactly. Max Art, hello. How's it going? Very good, thank you. Don't worry. We reviewed some designs. Yeah, it was as fun as always. So right now, if you wanted to punch out or cut out the white text to make it transparent to see the background color, what would it take? That is a good question. First of all, let's go back up here. In fact, I think I know the answer to that, but I haven't actually ever tried this out. In fact, I was actually wondering something similar earlier on. So this is going to be interesting. So let's stick a background behind first of all. See, this is why I love design. I learn things all the time. So let's select the white, and you said we want to punch that out so we can see the red showing through. And I believe we've got Pathfinder options up here. Now, I never use these up here because, because I generally usually work pretty destructively, I guess. I just keep copies of everything. But we should be able to subtract it. And that does absolutely nothing. Wow, okay. Interesting. We might have to figure this one out together. So if I click add, what does that do? Well, that does absolutely nothing as well. There's got to be a very simple solution to this one. This is good. So if I just add one, I can switch between them and see how they change things. But yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. It's getting rid of everything and leaving the R. So why would that not subtract the bottom? Interesting. Okay. And by the way, if anyone has used this before, then feel free to chime in and point me in the right direction. The color scheme reminds me of pickles. Yeah, I suppose it does actually. When I looked this color up, which was very kindly suggested by Mark, it actually showed a lot of pictures of wine. So I guess grape, wine, pickles, it's all very greeny. Just start mashing Pathfinder buttons like a little brother in Mortal Kombat. Yeah, basically that's what I was going to do, but that's not going to work, is it? So, a challenge. Okay. Right, I thought it would be as simple as that. Okay, let's forget that. We can also delete those effects. So let's try the fill. Let's just apply it to the fill and we'll see what happens. Blah, 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 blah. Pathfinder effect should... Okay, well that does absolutely nothing. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of Googling. Right, Illustrator. Appearance panel. Pathfinder subtract. See, this is the thing as well. I think a lot of designers, myself included, like, we don't do it through the appearance panel. Like I said earlier, like I didn't use any of the appearance panel for years, up until like I think it's probably a few years ago. I just worked in my own kind of set way. And I think I mentioned this the other day as well. You pick up bad habits, you get set in your ways, and then unless someone kind of comes in and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" There's a much better way of working than doing this. You're never gonna know, and you kind of get stuck in these weird habits. Right. Okay. I'm just gonna have a little look up and see. Because there's plenty of tutorials showing you how to subtract things and knock things out, but we want to keep this editable, right? The whole point of this is keeping it editable. Okie dokie dokie. Dennis says, and then finally you have a color you like and it doesn't exist in Pantone colors. Ah, I know. You get something very similar maybe, but it ain't the same. Maybe try reordering the layer effects. Yes, that is a very good idea. Is everything selected? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I've got just the text and the green selected. I mean, if I reorder the layers, that goes on top there. Maybe I could... Yeah. Okay, let's try. Oh no, I see what you mean. Sorry, right. I see what you mean. Okay. Right. Blah 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 blah. Subtract. And then move that up. No, that does nothing. It makes it go weird actually. What on earth is that? That ain't good. That ain't right. Or okay, let's get rid of... We put it on top. If you put effects on top, by the way, if you select this kind of top bit up here, you can add effects that affect everything. So we've got the individual ones, the white and then the lime green, but you can actually affect all of them. But for some reason, it's only isolating the R, which ain't no good. What will happen when you press Control H? I imagine it would hide Illustrator. No, it wouldn't. I've got no idea. Do I press Control H? I have... Control H doesn't do anything anymore. They've changed that one. And once you convert, editing text is over, right? So that's like a last step. Yeah, that's like a last step. So if I were to, let's say I go and expand all this. This is all great. I can't change that text anymore. But as long as I got these two versions and the white is on top, you can select them both and just punch it out. And then you can see the red. But of course, I can't edit that text anymore. That's the kind of thing I really want to try and maintain. Is keeping it all editable, because this whole thing is still editable, which is pretty cool. So if this was this is probably looking more like a logo or just a single bit of text, but if this was like a title on a poster and the client said, I need to change the wording on this, you could just boom, type it and it would just update. And it's just it's a smarter way of working, I think. Using the Pathfinder is dark magic. I did a quick test with a graphic style applied to text and then converted to curves, and the effect stayed. I'm sure some things would cause problems with that, though. ChatGPT will know the answers, says Lewis. Will it know the answers? Should we try ChatGPT? Oh my God, that's the second time I've nearly knocked that drink over. Right, let's see if I can log in. This will be interesting. What do you reckon? Will ChatGPT know the answer to this question? Okay, right. What are we asking it? Do we start with hello? Do we start with hello? Hello? No, we don't need... This is an AI. We don't need an etiquette here. Right, come on. In Adobe Illustrator, how do you subtract text from a shape using the Pathfinder options, but still Keep the text editable. It can't know this. If it knows this, right, we are all screwed. I'm just going to say it. Let's see what it comes back with. Well, that is mildly terrifying. Number 4, convert text to outlines. No. Ha! You lose, AI. I want to keep the text editable. There's got to be a way to do it. In fact, there is definitely a way to do it, because why would it have the Pathfinder options in there? Do you know what I mean? So there is a way to do it. I'm just missing something really obvious. Reese says we're doomed. We really are doomed. It was a very long answer. Well, I just outlined the text to see if the effect stayed. I think you might need a mask over all the stuff if you want to see through. There has to be a way, because I can't understand why they would have Pathfinder options in this effect specifically in this panel. There's got to be a way to do this. Let me What about if I get rid of that color, move this up? What if I just add? Let's get rid of the arc as well. Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's take it back to the basic text, and we'll try. We'll try adding a subtract. Yeah, it knocks out one letter. All right, let's get rid of the fill. And let's go back and just apply the color in the traditional way. Yeah, it's just isolating that one character. I don't understand why. Oh, that is going to bug me. I want to figure this out now. Okay. Ragamuffin. Come on, Dan. Think. We've got opacity. Make mask. No, it's not going to do anything. That did absolutely nothing. Undo. Lola says, this is so entertaining. I'm dying to know how to do it. I know. I don't like it when I can't do something. I'm a bit of a problem solver at heart. And so if I like typically, I like solving problems like this kind of thing. I find it fun and interesting. It's like a game. And then when I can't do it, I kind of obsess over trying to do it. We're all going to have homework. I know. We've got to figure this out. It says we need to convert to outlines. Yeah. If I convert to outlines, though, the text isn't editable anymore. That's the problem. I want to keep that text editable. And there is definitely a way to do it. But I suspect it's to do with having a specific arrangement in the appearance panel. So, and what I can't figure out is minus back. Okay, minus back. So it's taking the last letter. If I go subtract, it takes the first letter. Oh, this is like a really annoying puzzle. Oh, God, someone help me. Okay, right. So subtract would normally be what we'd use. So the problem at the moment is, why is it only selecting the first letter? That's the strange thing. So if I, yeah, Right, let's select this then. Path. Outline object. That does absolutely nothing. This is random, but could it be because there's no stroke on the characters? I don't think so. I think if there were a stroke, I think it would probably complicate it more. I wonder. Okay, hang on. Here's an idea. This probably won't work, but I'm thinking of just applying that to everything. So at the moment I've got the warp effect applied to both objects. So if I want to change it, I've got to change both the white and the lime green color. So I should really just apply the warp to the top. Let's get rid of that for a second. There we go. Oh, okay, interesting. So having it applied to the top isn't actually applying it to that rectangle, which is interesting. I thought that was gonna, so it's affecting the text, but it ain't changing the rectangle, which is very interesting. I'm not sure why that warp isn't actually affecting the rectangle, but that's fine. We'll just go back to exactly how it was before. Yeah, this one's a funny one. This panel is very, very powerful and very useful and will save you a lot of time and make life so much easier, but it's also quite complicated. In fact, I think this probably deserves its own entire video. Once we kind of figure this and a few more bits out, stuff that I haven't really used much in my career. Like there's a lot of these that I use all the time, like these ones here. But Pathfinder is just one of those things I've never really thought to do it this way. So I think, yeah, if we can figure this out, that would definitely be worth a video. I mean, even if you outline the text, you then have to convert it to a compound path to make the shapes work. Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, oh, you feel like you're on autopilot. I know, yeah, you just kind of do things and, yeah, forget that if you kind of gloss over those steps, especially when teaching, that people are like, wait, what the hell did you just do? Yeah, sometimes if you don't convert all of those individual shapes to a compound path, it will just knock out one letter. Exactly, Lewis. That's what I'm trying to figure out. How to make the text transparent so it uses that red background color but keeps the text editable. Try adding the Pathfinder to both fills. Nice. I like it. Okay. This is definitely going to be a team effort here. Right, so we've got subtract. And we'll add that there as well. Did you see that? That definitely flickered then. I saw something flicker. Now, I don't know if the order is going to make a difference here. Like, obviously it makes a difference, but I don't know if... You're playing hard to get, aren't you? Subtract. I mean, the obvious kind of other answer is to just make the fill color the same background color. But of course, if you've got like a complicated design or a complicated background, that's no good. That isn't going to work. I wonder if it's something to do with opacity. Why is my text popping up blue? Luminosity? No, this doesn't seem to do it. The reason I was playing around with the opacity then is because in Photoshop you kind of have to do something similar. You can add like a knockout effect in the blending options, but it only works if you drop the fill opacity down to 0%. Otherwise it just won't work. So I was trying something. That is the problem though. Why it's isolating that R. It's not even subtracting that one letter. It's isolating it on its own. Let's try something else. Path. Outline object. Then let's go and apply it. Oops. Oh my God. This is so frustrating. Yeah, outline object doesn't seem to do anything. Like I thought that would outline the text as an effect. Then I could subtract it, but yeah, we tried ChatGPT. It gave us a solution, but it was a destructive solution in the sense that the effect would become non-editable. The whole point is to try and keep it editable. Are you sure the characters and shapes are staying selected when you go through the options? It only looks like the bounding box. Yeah, that's the thing, because I know what you mean. Because this fill color, I've actually added this under the appearance panel. The text and the box is actually one object. It's all the same object, and it's all sort of spawned from the text. So I can't actually select that box and move it manually. The box is controlled with these settings here. So yeah, I'm definitely selecting it. Oh. Why are you talking about kebabs? Thanks for trying it. I was hoping it was easy, but this makes me feel better about my own difficulties with doing it. Yeah. Select both fills when adding the Pathfinder. Select both. Oh, you are full of good suggestions, sir. Pathfinder. Oh, yeah, so it only adds it to one, even though I selected both. In fact, I think, do you know what I need? I need to just look up a video, a tutorial or something that just shows how to use any of the Pathfinder effects specifically in the appearance panel, because I think there might be like a fundamental way to use these effects. Like they're all listed here, so there clearly is a purpose for them. But I feel like because we're doing it all in one panel, there's probably a specific way to use them. So let's try and look that one up. Yeah, maybe this one. Here we go. Let's have a look at this. Transform. Right. Ooh, interesting. Okay. I'm just looking on the Adobe community forum, and someone's posted an example. When you apply that subtract to the layer when you first. So there's a fill and a fill. Subtract, transform. Yeah, so we were on the right lines. So there definitely needs to be a subtract on the top one. Right, I got an idea. Let's try this with shapes, basic shapes, because I think the text might be the thing causing the problem. So we've got red background, we've got yellow, and we've got a white shape in the middle. So I'm going to try and punch. No, that's not right, is it? Shape one there with a white fill, and we're going to add another fill down here, and then we'll convert this one to an ellipse, and then we'll make it yellow. And let's offset this one. There we go, right. So we're offsetting it. Oh, whoops, I've put the ellipse on the wrong one. Come on, Dan, you donut. Which is very apt because I've created a kind of donut shape. So we want to knock out the white from the yellow, revealing the red. So we definitely need to have a subtract on there. And the other one they've got is a transform, but I don't know why they would use that. Transform pattern. Let's have another look. Yeah, we've got the two fills there. Dennis, the all-seeing eye. Oh no. Quick. Let's change it. We've got to fix that. We don't want none of that. There we go. There we go. We got whew, there we go. That was lucky. Dodged a bullet there. Oh. So I figured part of it out. Make Ragamuffin and the green. Make Ragamuffin in the green shape a group. Then do Pathfinder subtract on the group. Okay, so we group everything. That's still there. I can go in and edit it, but it's a group. Will this subtract the top from the bottom? Oh! Marky boy! Oh, you did it! Gold star to Mark, you absolute legend. Mark, you are the hero of the day. This should be still editable. Yes! Oh, finally. We can get rid of the Eye of Sauron. We don't need that anymore. Oh, amazing. So annoying. So that was all it was just grouping it. And do you know the reason I didn't think of grouping it was because it's just one single object. Yeah, but that is still editable inside the group. So we've still got all that flexibility. We've just got to double click to go inside the group, double click anywhere to come out of the group. And why has it made it bigger on the right hand side? Have I done something silly? Yes, I've definitely done something silly. Let's go back inside, clickety click. Where's my transform gone? Oh, I might have got rid of it actually by mistake. Okay, so we can put that back on the white text. This is the way that you would remove, move the text around if you needed to. So let's move that there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I might bring the rectangle in on the sides a little bit as well. Let's just fiddle with that one. Yeah, Mark is the GOAT. Mark wins today's stream. Holy cow, I know. Yay, we did it. We did it. Well, Mark did it. But it was a team effort. I think we all threw our hat in the ring, and we definitely did it together. But Mark, you are today's live stream savior. Thank you. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say now. I think I've spent so much of the stream trying to figure out this problem. I'm just like, oh, and relax. Wow. Sema says, example of perseverance and success at work. Oh yeah, it doesn't make any damn sense. No, it doesn't, does it? It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. And the example I was looking at didn't suggest that either. It's interesting actually. So if I select this group, let's say I change that to add. It just turns them white. What about intersect? Exclude. Yeah, like it's a weird one. Like if I ever go to use those Pathfinder effects, I'm guessing you can only apply them to groups with content. What if you have more than two shapes in that group? Do you know what I mean? Like I've got two colors here. I've got the white and I've got the lime green. Imagine I've got, let's say, 4 different layers in there with different colors, and I group it together and I subtract the group. What's it going to subtract? Like, how do I make it subtract one specific color from another one? Or does it just subtract everything? I don't know. Maybe that's kind of a limitation of this kind of method. But I don't care right now. I think we'll take that as a win. We'll take that as a win. Beautiful. Very nice. Very nice indeed. I feel like we should have a background color now. Just because we've gone to all the trouble of figuring that out, we should definitely pick some kind of background color. So let's could have a bit more of an earthy color, or we could go full on green. Yes, this color does look a little bit like sewage, but I actually weirdly like it. I'm not entirely sure what that says about me, but there we go. Oh, nice. The coffee kicked in. Yeah, right. No kidding, man. And that still leaves the effects if done the other version. Ah, that's a good point. Yes, so we did have this version here with all these crazy effects. In fact, we can actually use this to try out exactly what I was just saying. So let's grab that one, because this is infinitely more complex. Group them together. What is going to happen if I subtract this one? Nothing of any value. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. It doesn't feel like the right solution. It feels like I should be able to add that to different objects within the appearance panel for it to work, but I don't know. Maybe it does have limitations. Maybe it's meant to be used with groups. I'm just glad we managed to figure it out. And I think actually, yeah, the thing is, now we've grouped it together and we've applied that subtract effect, I could then start adding more effects to this. Well, maybe not. Oh, maybe not actually. We'll just leave that alone. But yeah, like what I would really want ideally is a way to have all of these crazy effects that I've layered up and then still be able to knock out that white. And my logical brain just says go and do this and apply a subtract there. And it just subtracts all the letters except the first one. And it only subtracts it one layer deep as well. I want it to completely knock through everything right to that background. But yeah, so I think that one might take a bit of tinkering. It subtracted the whole thing from the background rectangle. Yeah. Take the simple win. Exactly, yeah. I really think this is more of a masking problem. Pathfinder is more for creating shapes. Yeah, I suppose you're right. I don't use the Pathfinder too much for text, but anyway, let's carry on with this version. And I think what I might do actually, let's just grab this background color. I mean, if we're using a simple background color, this is one way that we can do it. And then could change that to white. Not sure about that. Yeah, not too keen on that actually. Let's try and add another one. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. Let's go for 0.1 and just increase the number of copies. No? Okay, 1. Yeah, we'll just increase those copies. This will slow down Illustrator massively though, so maybe we don't want to go that far. Something like that looks pretty cool though. I like that. Yeah, that gradient. I'm not sure about that one. Try linear. Oh, that looks a bit better. Oh, that's quite nice. There we go. Sort of introducing a bit more kind of lighting and shadows. Like the middle part's a bit lighter. We've got some more shadows around the edge. And that's the thing with using gradients. You can get you can try and simulate lighting and shadows. You're not going to get anything as realistic as using 3D features and ray tracing, but there's other advantages to doing it this way. Oh no, that looks awful. Let's keep it all on one line. Right. Ooh, maybe that outline. Maybe the outline has to go. And this is what I love. Everything is still fully editable. So we've got plenty of flexibility over exactly how everything looks. And let's do another version down here as well. We'll start messing around with another version. So let's go and add a new fill. Pick a different color. Distort and transform. And move 1 pixel to the side. I mean, we could actually use this technique to create a little bit of a highlight as well. So if I actually change the color of the text, we'll go with like some sort of greeny color, something like that, very earthy green. Go and change this to a white. We can actually use this to kind of add a highlight, and then if we duplicate this white underneath, and instead we'll go for a darker color, and then we'll do this 2 and 2. So we're kind of, instead of using negative values, we switch it around to positive. We could use this to sort of simulate some shadows or something very subtle. And then what do I want? I want another green that's the same color as the text, but I'm gonna move that underneath. Let's get rid of all these ones at the bottom. Don't need that. And then I'm gonna add, where are we? Path offset, kind of encapsulating everything. That does look a bit weird. Maybe the offset just needs to be a bit less. Maybe just a little bit more subtle. No, that still looks terrible, actually. Hello and good day, sir. Finally made it to a live stream. I'm super hyped. Enjoy your content. Thanks for the great videos. You are welcome, Brandon. Amazing. Always dark mode. Right. Let's change the main color. Let's see if that helps. Maybe brighten this up. There we go. We could try adding a shadow underneath, actually. So if I take the main text at the top, we'll duplicate that and then drag it to the bottom and switch over to HSB, and we'll drag that down. So we've got like a really dark green, not a black. We want a dark green because the background has kind of a sludgy green color. And then what I'm going to do is I want to move this. So let's transform that, move it down. And maybe scale it in a little bit as well, maybe 97%. So I've created this shadow here. Again, doing it this way, if you've just joined in, keeps everything editable, which is fantastic. And now I can select this, and another effect is actually a Gaussian blur. So let's drag this down to just a few pixels, something pretty subtle, I think. Maybe, what do we want? How much blur? Oh, I don't know, maybe a bit more, nice and soft. Oh, that looks nice, actually. No, that looks really nice. Oh yeah, no, I love that. I'm loving the shadow. Not so much the highlights or whatever, but the shadow, yeah, that's really nice. let's duplicate this one, distort and transform, 99%. And again, we'll scale into the middle. HSB, we're going to go darker. Maybe we could add a border around there that is the same color as that kind of, I guess you could say it's like an extrusion. We're making our own extrusion. Offset path. Huh. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Penna Design, never caught you live before. Dope to see you tinker away, dig in the direction of this one. Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining as well. We've, wow, this stream has been a bit of a roller coaster. Ha! Yeah, it took a while to get that live, editable, and knocked out from the background. But we did it. It was a team effort. Mark ultimately clinched the win with the working solution. But yeah, it's fun playing around with these. There's a lot of stuff you can do actually. In fact, let's switch the colors up. Let's go for something a bit bit more traditional. Netflix. Something people not traditional, that's not even the right word, but recognizable, I guess is what I'm getting at. So let's throw in a rouge. There we go. Lovely, lovely. Very nice. Red. Let's get rid of all these other layers. Get rid of that. Boom. Badoo. Badoo. Yeah, let's try this with a different color. I think we've worked with that color that we were using that I won't try and say for far too long. Oh, that looks pretty cool. I like that, yeah. I do like that indeed. And this is very similar to what I was doing before with that other color, but I just, personally, I like these colors a lot more. I think it just, I don't know, yeah, it just works. There's something really nice about the simplicity. And I can actually change that arc. We could bend this up even more. I've just got to make sure I do the same on both. Unless I wanted to change it and have it drooping down. No, that looks a bit rubbish. But yeah, we could bring the letters closer together. Still really close. No, too close. We'll keep them a little bit spaced. Could squish them together like that. Marlon says, good morning from Peru. You create wonderful designs. Oh, thank you very much. That is very kind of you. It's great to have you here on the stream. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Okay, is there anything else anyone would like to see demonstrated? We've probably got about another 15... Wait, no, what time is it? I've got my kids' drama performance today. Yeah, probably got about another 15 minutes or so. So, yeah, I'm all yours. The spacing around the top edge of the T is different from around the top edge of the F and other letters. Yeah, I think it depends on it's to do with the kerning between the letters. So if I just kind of throw down Netflix. Yeah, I know what you mean. With this kind of word, you notice it quite a lot because the spacing on these other two is different, but it's still quite consistent. But with kerning, there's more to just spacing the letters with these kind of gaps equally. You know, because we have a T here, which is symmetrical, but then the F, you've got this kind of flat part of the F right up against it. And then you've got, let me break it apart and I'll show you. And then with the E, it's not like a flat line butting up to the T. It's got these dips in here. So if we were to go and let's say space all of these gaps apart equally, so they're all like, yep, these gaps are all correct. You might find that when you actually zoom out, the E now looks too far away. So you've spaced certain elements that really kind of stood out. But in doing so, you kind of messed up the kerning a little bit, if that makes sense. So my instinct would be like, oh yeah, let's just make the N. And so that gap is all the same. But as you can see now, even though the gap is the same, the N looks too close to the E because the kerning's off. So yeah, it is a weird one. It's a weird one, kerning, and a big part of it, I think, is you have to kind of use your eye a lot more. There's a lot more optical alignment involved rather than just, you know, I guess you could say mathematical precision. You know, it's kind of like if we had a bunch of these shapes here, we can mathematically align these and space them apart. They're all the same shape. And so it's really straightforward. But with letters, you've got obviously all sorts of different shapes and the space in between them. So like this has got lots of space here. There's barely anything between these two letters. There's kind of a bit here, a lot more here, and all of this space kind of factors into the kerning, which is essentially the space between individual pairs of letters. And the best way I still sometimes my kerning might be off, and it's later on that I notice it, or someone else on a stream will point it out and say, yo, that spacing's a bit wonky there, Dan. But the best way I found to kind of be able to see it is not look at it like this. Zoom out and look at the spacing really, really small, because you'll be able to see things at that kind of zoomed out distance that you wouldn't necessarily be able to see up close. Netflix. And we could actually stack this. And then let's change this to arc upper. That's kind of cool. And then the transform, 99%. So at the moment the transform's going up. But can I pull that so it goes down? Yes, I can. Nice. And then let's do that for the bottom one as well. So let's try and move it up. -6.5. And then it kind of looks like they're stacked on top of each other. And the kind of that scale effect that's being pulled towards the center, it kind of looks like they're both being pulled towards the center. So stacked text. Yeah, you can see when you change the words, sometimes it does kind of it does break what you've done. I am Netflix. It was the first thing that came into my head. I love Netflix. I hate Netflix. I watch Netflix. So it depends on the letters. Some kind of work, some don't. But yeah, let's also remember that this is still fully editable. So I could pick a totally random font and I could change this. Obviously some work better than others, but let's go for I don't know how this will look. Where is it? Rustling. Oh no, I've not got that font installed. Never mind. Let's get back to that. And so the thing is as well, once you've taken the time to make these graphic styles, you can actually go to Window and open up this panel. And there's a few there by default. We don't, yay, if you want to use that. But what you can do is actually just drag one of these in here and it will add this as a style. So if I wanted to ever use this again and I've just typed some text and I could just click, boom, there we go. It adds that effect. So graphic styles relates to the appearance panel. So all of these are essentially effects or graphic styles, or I guess this collection of effects make up a graphic style. And so you can save these collections of effects. And what I'm doing here is actually relatively simple. There are some much more complicated examples of this. In fact, there's a video on my channel that I did recently. If you want to have a go at doing like you want to make some really good looking text using the appearance panel and kind of get more of a feel for it. Let me just link this video because I think you'll enjoy this one. And this one is actually a lesson from my full course as well. So there's a YouTube video. I pathfind Netflix. Kerning is also dark magic. Yes, it is. Making the items are easy. Let's see how the client feels. That's what a real designer suffers. Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it. But at least designing this way, we've got flexibility. So if the client says, hey, I don't like FD, I like kittens, you can go, well, there you go, Mr. Client. You got your kittens. Oh, what's that? You don't like red? Fine. You can have blue and brown, like mud. There you go, client. There's your kitten text. Oh, what's that? You like dogs? Fine. Have some dogs as well. So obviously I'm being facetious, but it does, you do have a lot more flexibility and it makes life a lot easier. And in this first example as well, if you add a container to it, did I keep those examples? Yeah, if you've just joined, you can make tooltips out of this. So I've got that as a separate shape, the text and the fill added as its own kind of thing. And then you could just have a ragamuffin tooltip. That's such a great word. So it's about working efficiently as well. And if anyone would like to do my full Adobe Illustrator masterclass, I'll throw a link to that in the chat as well. So the lesson from YouTube that I just linked, it's a video on my channel, but it's actually one of the lessons from the course. So if you enjoy that video, then I don't know, maybe check out the course. And if you go to Dansky.com and sign up to my mailing list, you get a promo code for 15% off the course. So yeah, it was nice to finally get that done. I spent a lot of time working on that course and trying to just make it as good as possible and try and teach people just as much as I can about Adobe Illustrator. Yeah, it felt good to finally get that one done. Just get it done and then put it out there into the world. But yeah, I do like this. I do like that. I think there's probably a lot more that we could do with this. But I think I'm going to have a little bit of a play around later off camera and just try and see the most bonkers craziest thing I can actually create with this. Oh, let's try another one. There is another one I was playing around with, but actually it did crash Illustrator. So this might be a terrible idea, but I'm going to try it anyway. Let's get rid of the fill, and we'll add a stroke to kick this off. We'll go make it a bit thicker. A nifty trick if you want to create a dotted line is set this to dashed line. Of course, this now looks like stitching. But if you change the dash to 0 and the gap to 10, obviously it looks terrible until you change the cap to round. The dash has got no length whatsoever, but if you have a 0 point dash length and you round off both the corners, you're going to get a circle. So there's a nifty trick to create dotted lines. And if we select the profile, we can actually just pick this one here, which is random, and it will seemingly randomize the sizing. And you could even convert this to curves and go in with the width tool and randomize it even more, but doing this keeps it all editable. And this effect is what crashed it. So where is it? Distort and transform, tweak. And it's an interesting one. So if we start at 0 and 0, this will shift certain elements on the horizontal axes. So we could do something like that. We could then go and apply a rise warp, so the text is actually slowly rising up. So it looks like the particles are kind of drifting up from one side. And we could play around with the gap to control the density of those particles. So you could keep it really loose and actually just use that to make a particle background if you wanted. That's what it looks like with no dotted line, which is of course awful, but you know, or we could actually even add a slight bit of length. Yeah, and it's not the best particle effect I've ever made, but it's just, again, another example of what you can actually do with this panel. And, you know, this is also fully editable as well. So I could very easily just go through and find perhaps a font that is a little bit more particle-esque. I think I've crashed Illustrator now. I think I've pushed it too far. That tweak effect with a dotted line, that is just save your document before you do it. No, I've broken it now. It's fine though. I saved my document before, so we're all good. Perfect ending, exactly, yeah. Illustrator recovered from a crash. Yes, you did. So yeah, use that one with caution. Dotted line plus tweak does have a tendency to crash, but what I would recommend really is just add some text and play around with those different effects, and just make sure you add them from up here or down the bottom of the appearance panel. And try and just stack up as many effects as you can and keep the text editable. It's a nice little challenge, as you saw today, and it's kind of fun. And you sort of learn quite a lot about what you can actually create with that panel alone. So yeah, it's a good one. So that was a warp effect with a dashed stroke that crashed it. I think it was the tweak. Yeah, there was a warp effect and there was a dotted line dashed stroke. But when I was playing around with this earlier, I think I did it without the warp and it still crashed. So I think the tweak and the dotted lines was just that one step too far, unfortunately. But oh yeah, I'm glad we got that one sorted. That's going to be a really useful one to remember. But yeah, that's going to do it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Reese says, definitely going to need to go back and forth and watch this through and play a bit. Yeah, if you didn't see the bit earlier, we finally figured out the solution to this text here. Having this text knocked out, I would definitely recommend scrubbing through that and getting the solution at the end, which was basically grouping all of the objects and then applying the Pathfinder effect. And just a reminder, Mark has won today. Mark is the GOAT. So thank you, Mark. Oh, that one took us a while, didn't it? Go, Mark. Indeed. Go, Mark. Ah, fantastic. Right, guys, you've been absolutely amazing as always. And yeah, so there's no more submissions on the design review just for like a few weeks because I've got a massive backlog of designs that people have submitted that I haven't got around to reviewing yet. So I'm going to try and catch up with those a bit and then open up submissions again later in August. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you next week. So have a fantastic rest of your week and weekend, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.